When you don't go to Geico.com, car insurance can be hard. Like early 90s heavy metal hard.
I'm yelling and screaming and I'm loud. Roar!
Geico makes it easy. You can review and update your policy or report a claim on Geico.com or the Geico mobile app. Because shouldn't we all have a little less stress in our lives?
I'm not even upset about anything!
Ages though, but you can do. You can do.
Radio.
Look inside your tiny mind, then look a bit harder, 'cause we're so uninspired, so sick and tired of all the hatred you harbor. So you say it's not okay to be gay, well I think you're just evil. You're just some racist who can't tie my laces. Your point of view is medieval.
Brilliant tune there from a great British artist, Lili Allen. A great tune for the week that we've had, and for dedicated to, and you know who you are, who's listening in. Great tune called "Fuck You." Love the tune because it's a jolly tune, but with a rather sinister message. So I really could not think, or Xtina and I couldn't think of anything better to kick off this show. So it's show 22. It's Thursday night. Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. We're still eating leftover turkey, which is nice. Not really. No, curry turkey's disgusting, to tell you the truth. But no, we missed it. It's been It's been a week, which is great. We've got some fantastic guests for our listeners to listen to this evening. Hi there, listener. Hope you're okay. I'm not going to rant tonight, but we're having more AT&T sagas, and I know the listeners look forward to my ongoing battle with AT&T. I discovered we're paying $251 a month for TVs that don't really work awfully well, which is great. They're sending out another engineer tomorrow, which is getting silly now because I'm actually running out of room in my crawl space to put all the corpses, but need a bigger house, obviously. So, anywho, great show tonight. I could just waffle on for hours. I'm lonely, basically. Just me. The kids are in bed. I don't know where the hell the dog is, but he stays quiet. We're okay. I'm gonna have to bring Xtina in because I have missed her. I have missed our sort of. Where is she? Xtina, are you there? Oh yeah, there she is.
I'm here, and I actually am drinking wine. I poured my dinner tonight, so that was exciting.
Well, there you go. Yeah, bless you. How are you this evening? Are you good?
I am good. Like you said, though, it has really been a week, and I love that song. The funny thing about it is the first time you played it, I wasn't paying any attention at all to the words. I just thought it was really catchy. And you said something about, the song being appropriate. I'm like, what is he talking about? So I looked it up afterwards. I'm like, oh, my God, that song was saying fuck you the whole time. And now it's become like, it's become one of my favorite songs. I play it all the time. So, I was singing.
I whistle it around the house. It's good, But it's such a nice, great, catchy little tune. But that could well be. It could become our theme tune, actually.
Yeah, that is.
So,
I love it.
Yeah, it's been a while. I said between AT&T and one thing and another, and whatnot. Things going on. We can't reveal too much at this stage, but. We're in the stage of getting ourselves a new sponsor for the show, which is exciting.
It is. I can't wait. I'm actually very excited about, our future things that are going on, and I can't wait to bring in the new year with some cool new things. And
it's going to be. It's more wine, obviously. It's going to be a hot new year, actually, because the show's going to be longer, so there's going to be more banter, which is going to people run screaming, I think. So I can't imagine so many people phoning in to listen to us waffling on.
We have to give our listener, what they want, so they,
Well, otherwise he will go listen to one of the other myriad horror. Esque talk radio shows, none of which is as good as this one, I have to say. I may be biased, but it's funny. I've been sat literally all week. I've been sat working hard. I've been writing. I've been doing websites. You do sort of your brain just you do this, and I tend to as soon as I drop the kids off to school. I'll see my little girl on the bus. I put my sort of comfy pants on. Like that sort of terry cloth pants, which are great to sit and write in. And I was sat and I said, what is that? There's a funny, horrible old man pissy smell. What is that?
Oh
and I was looking, and when did I last change the? I thought. So.
The things I learn about you, James, really.
Probably more than anybody needs to know. Oh, hang on. Here's the president.
Grab him by the pussy.
Thank you, Mr. Sean. What a great guy. Pardon?
You have way too much fun at this, James. I
have far too much time on my hands. That's I think that's the problem. That's great. It's good stuff. So hey, I tell you what, I'm gonna let you introduce our first guest, a young lady all the way from Australia. I'm going to do my Australian accent. Struth, it's in my strides. Apologies. I'm going to let you introduce the young lady. Off you go.
You're going to put me on the spot, but I would love to introduce the wonderful Lili St. Germain. Yay! Do we have like a...
Yay! No,
yeah.
you don't. No, don't build your part up. Okay. There's only one star on this show. It's not you. Lili, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I do apologise for the terrible Australian accent, my dear. I hopefully I didn't cause too much offence.
No, it's very entertaining. It's very entertaining. Don't worry.
So I guess it's morning time.
Oh,
so brilliant! I'll do some more then. Crikey!
Yeah, there you go.
So I guess it's
probably
morning
better
time.
than my British accent.
Oh, go on, give it a go. Go on.
Oh, you want me to give a British accent a go?
Oh, yeah.
You know what? Like you said, it's morning time here, and I haven't had any wine yet, so, you know.
Oh, slacker.
A couple of wines in, I can usually talk like I'm from the motherland, but
awesome.
this early in the morning,
Awesome.
I think I'm just going to stick with Australian.
Fair enough. So, hey, motherland, I mean, obviously, us Brits invented both America and Australia, so there you go. So, yeah, Lili, you're here to chat to us about your Cartel series books. Tell us more.
Okay, where do I start? Maybe I should start at the
So I'll put you on the spot now. As Julie Andrews said, start at the beginning. It's a very good place to start, yeah.
Okay, I'll start at the beginning. So a couple of years ago, I actually wrote a different series called the Gypsy Brothers series.
I read that
it was
series.
A series of... You read that series? Thank you so much.
I did, yes.
That's awesome. It was a series of 8 novellas. It was about a girl who has come back from the dead, not literally. Her death was faked. This isn't a horror series. So she's...
you're cool. Don't worry about it. No, it's fine.
So she's come back from the dead, come back from people thinking she's dead, to get revenge on the people who killed her father and left her for dead. So that series was kind of set in present day. And then after the series did really well, I was approached by a publisher who was really interested in me telling basically the story of how her father came to be murdered and how the biker club was started. So that then became a really exciting opportunity for me to kind of go back to 1998, in my head at least, and on my laptop, and craft this whole story about the origin story. So the cartel and where my main male character had gone from being a good guy to a very, very bad guy.
Awesome. That
sounds
good.
And if I give you too much more, it will be a massive spoiler. But
no, hey, no spoilers. So what was the inspiration?
Spoilers. Inspiration, it's hard to pinpoint a specific inspiration. I mean, I've been writing this kind of dark stuff for most of my adult life. Most of it is just bits and pieces that will never be published. That's all my practice stuff. But really, it was more than being inspired. It was actually just for the first time in my life having the opportunity to sit down and do quite a lot of writing at once. After I had my daughter, I was on maternity leave, and she was a very bad sleeper. So there was a lot of time late at night and early in the morning when it was just me, rocking a bassinet with one hand and typing with the other.
Kids, you got to love them.
Well, yeah, exactly.
No. I know you've got to love them. I mean, I think we're biologically predisposed.
That's a rule.
We can't help it. Otherwise, we would just drown them all in a bucket, I think.
we wouldn't be rocking that cot, that's for sure.
No, we would not.
We'd be turning the music up.
So, Lily, I wanted to ask you, who do you like, when you're not writing, who do you like to read?
Oh, so the more I write, the less time I have to read, but at the same time, I feel like it's so important to keep reading, keep new words going into my head.
Right.
What's the last book that I read? Probably The Girl on the Train was the last book that I read. That's kind of embarrassing because that was a long time ago.
Right, it was.
I did love that book, though.
Yeah, I have not read that one actually. Aren't they making it into a movie, or it is a movie, or something?
Yeah, the movie came out. A friend of mine saw it and said it's a very, very good film.
I don't know if the experience of the film would be the same. Sorry, I think I'm talking over you.
No, hey, probably a satellite delay or something, you know.
Oh, okay, sure. So yeah, I don't think the experience of watching The Girl on the Train movie would be the same if you've already read the book, because there's like a massive plot twist, which is one of my favorite things to watch on a TV show or in a book or in a movie, is that plot twist that you don't see coming. And that's also one of the things that I love to write the most. So that was the last book that I read.
Speaking of TV shows, I just thought, and I was like, oh my goodness, I wanted to say something about the profile picture that you sometimes put up with you and Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I love him. I do.
Love that picture.
I love him. Yeah.
Yeah.
So so are you more of a fan of him in Supernatural, or what do you think of his character in The Walking Dead?
Oh, good question. Okay, so when I started writing my series, and this guy was, the bad guy, I had only seen him in Supernatural. And there's a scene in Supernatural where John Winchester, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, is possessed by the demon. Normally, he's not the bad guy on that show, but there is one scene where there's this guy called the Yellow-Eyed Monster. Yellow-Eyed Demon, sorry. And he has possessed John. And after I saw that, I was like, that is amazing. I want some of that. He would be the perfect guy. And, it's the voice and the swagger and the whole thing. So I very much hear his voice when I'm writing Dornan, who's my main character. And I also love Supernatural, so it was very funny.
I do too. I'm a huge fan, although I have not seen it. I'm not caught up. I think that the last season I watched was the one with the Leviathans, and I have to tell you, I just did not think that. I didn't think they were scary, and I like the scary aspect.
They were pathetic.
So I didn't. I was kind of turned off during that season, and I just have never really, gone back. And I've missed so much now. But I mean, I do love. Yeah. I do love them all, and Jeffrey Dean Morgan, he's so hot. He really is.
He really is, absolutely, and even better in person. So,
gosh, I'm jealous. I'm so jealous.
So and him playing Negan is quite funny because all of my readers keep telling me, I'm watching The Walking Dead, and these are people who've been watching The Walking Dead for, I think it's been going for 6 seasons now. Does that sound right? And they're all saying, we love all these other characters. We love Daryl and we love Rick, and we're really upset about this Negan guy, but also we love him because he just reminds us of your books, which is super funny that I've managed to kind of collectively brainwash them to think about this guy as this guy.
So, Lily, we have a question for you from one of our listeners. They want to know if parenthood plays a role in your writing, and do you notice a difference?
Yes. Parenthood definitely plays a role in my writing. As I mentioned before, just the fact that parenthood gave me a chance to actually have some free time to write, even though it was time I would have preferred to be sleeping. In hindsight, I'm pretty happy it turned out the way it did. Yeah, but parenthood definitely. There's a lot of juicy stuff there. A lot of themes. I did not take to motherhood very naturally. Of course, I love my baby and was so happy that she was born. But I found it a very very hard experience to, essentially be handed this little person and then be told, okay, off you go be a mom.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think a lot of the themes in my books are about being trapped and about feeling helpless, and that's definitely source material from probably the way I was feeling when she was very young.
I can kind of relate to that actually, because when I had my first child, I had never really been around too many babies, so I really had no clue what I was doing. So it was a difficult experience. Yeah.
It was
some
total
people
shock. And I love her to bits, but yeah, it was hard.
Yeah. So I say this every week, James. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but yet I do. Do you have a reading for us?
Oh, I do.
Yay!
I do. This is the one thing that I have prepared.
But you have to read it in a British accent, though, so,
In a British accent? Well, you didn't send me
could
one,
you?
So maybe I'll have to re-record it later.
That would
I didn't
be
put
awesome.
any whiskey in my coffee. That is putting me on the spot.
I'll drink for you, though, okay? I'm drinking for you.
We will, Xtina drinks for all of us. We'll let you off this one, so you go for it.
I put my wine on myself just now, James.
I feel like I should come back on the show as my British alter ego after I've been able to practice.
But you do that. We'll get you booked. Excellent. I can do my Steve Irwin impression all night. So.
Okay. Yeah, I love it. I actually find an English accent much easier to do than an American accent. Even though I've spent a lot of time in America, I find that one so hard.
Okay, we're ready when you are.
Okay, I'm just going to set up the scene a little bit before I go in. So this scene that I'm reading is from a book called Kingpin, which is the second of 3 books in a trilogy called the Cartel Trilogy. So 9 years ago, my main character, Mariana, made a deal with a drug kingpin, and his name's Emilio, and he was about to murder her entire family. But she kind of struck a bargain with him that if he spared her family, she would give herself to him. So when this happened, she was only 19, but she was super smart. She'd already been laundering money for her father for several years, and she was a bit of a math prodigy. And Emilio realized that she could be a valuable asset to his business, and he figured if it didn't work out, he would just sell her or kill her. So he was pretty happy with the deal. Mariana, not so happy, but pretty happy that her family wasn't killed. So she ends up being owned by the cartel, the Sangue cartel, and she ends up falling in love with Emilio's son. And he's part of a motorcycle club called the Gypsy Brothers, which is a very long-winded way of saying that this is the prequel that I was mentioning before. So if you're trying to picture it, it's kind of like a Breaking Bad meets Sons of Anarchy thing going on, in terms of the characters anyway. Okay, so I'm just going to get my reading voice on. Okay.
Go for it.
So this is from Mariana's point of view. This is Mariana's chapter. 5 days a week, I dressed in smart business clothes. I ate breakfast and painted my face like countless other women. I was an accountant. Well, technically I was a bookkeeper, because I'd been forced to leave college before I could complete my degree. At the office, a tiny, cramped room in the back of a rundown strip club, I drank coffee and spoke to nobody and worked my ass off. Then I was driven home, the home he had chosen for me. Some nights, my lover escorted me to the door, opened it for me, and spent the evening worshipping my body in ways I'd never imagined possible before meeting him. He was rough, he was dominating, and he made me feel safe, even with a hand wrapped around my throat, cutting off my air supply. I liked the way he drove me to the peak, how he dangled me over the edge, and then pulled me back up just before I fell. Dawn and Ross might have been a brutal man, but to me, he was shelter. Even when he hurt me, he made it feel like love. Because at least if he was hurting me, he was there. If you and I passed each other on the street, you'd think I was just like all the other girls, getting through each day as best I could. But nothing about my life was normal. I was not just a girl who went to work and went home and cooked dinner and had sex. If you passed me on the street, you'd probably miss the biker who was walking 5 steps behind me, the roommate I'd been given who was actually my keeper for all those hours when Dornan wasn't around. You'd miss the handprints on my neck, hidden by long hair and scarves, marks left by brutal love that I looked at in the mirror and delicately touched in the safety of my bathroom, to remember what it felt like to be alive, to be on the brink of coming and passing out at the same time. If you knocked on my door and I was alone, you'd think I wasn't there. You'd never imagine I was pressed against the other side of the door, listening to your every move, begging silently for you to go away, but wanting you to stay at the same time. You'd never guess what I really was, because that reality was too dark, too painful for any normal person to entertain. I was a slave. 9 years ago, I'd made a deal with the devil. Emilio Ross, kingpin of the Sangue drug cartel, had been seconds away from slaughtering my entire family for a debt my father owed him. Perhaps foolishly, I'd offered myself up in return for my family's safety. As long as I stayed with the cartel and worked off my father's massive debt, they'd be safe. My money laundering for the cartel had paid off the original debt a long time ago, at least by my count, but Emilio had since made it clear that the deal didn't have an expiration date. I was prized property of the cartel for 9 years, and there was one thing I knew for certain. I was never getting out alive.
Oh my gosh,
That's
you know
it.
what? I have to say, I could listen to you just read for the whole hour.
Okay.
I could.
Can't- yeah, can't-
I
Oh,
love.
thank you. All I could hear
I'll
was
settle down listening to that.
I do want to
that's
tell you,
awesome.
guys.
I do want to tell you, Lily,
Thank
that
you.
we had one of our listeners. They want you to say dominating again. They really liked it when you said dominating.
Oh my gosh. They want me to say the word dominating.
I must admit,
There we go,
I like how you said arse instead of ass. That was great. That made me. It was like
Yeah.
it was like
Yep.
being home. It's like being home.
That's the Australian coming through. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, it's really funny.
Yeah.
There are some words that I pronounce, and if I'm with American friends or readers, they're like, "What?" He's like, "We have no idea what you're talking
Yeah.
about."
No, I get that all the time. I still obviously still say arse and various, but no, it was just it's nice, and yet to hear it, you know, it's just it sort of stands out, you know. So I just made my day that. But no, that was great. I mean that's pretty intense stuff. It's
Thank you.
I'm going to get this book.
I know. I have to get caught up. I do. I really do. I hate to do this because this half hour went by way too fast. But we are, and I thank you. I thank you so much for coming on the show. And will you please come back and see us? Well, you know, I'm going to stalk you until you say yes.
My English accent.
Yes.
Yeah, it's probably not. It's probably not optional. I think Xtina will stalk you.
I will.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm excited.
Thank you so much, Lily. Thank you.
No, thank you, Lily.
Thank
Thank you
you
for
so much
joining
for
us.
having me,
And I
Appreciate
suppose
it.
enjoy your day. I suppose your day's just starting. So
Thank you. I will enjoy
have
my
a
day.
jolly one. Good.
Thank
have a
you.
jolly one. We will see
You
you again.
too.
Thank you so much. Okay. Bye bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye. What a nice young lady. That was great.
I know.
That was nice. And she said arse. Seriously, that did make my day. That was fantastic. So hey, anyway, did we have any commercial? I don't think we're going to bother this week, were we?
No.
I'm going to plug me, jameslongmore.com. Check out my website. All my work's on there. Short movies as well. What are my award-winning short movies? Even a little bit of stand-up if you can find it. It's there on my website. So, and we're going to play a tune so I can go and go for my constitutional mid-show pee. My wee, as we say in British, my wee. And it's a jolly song that was, this is one for you, Xtina, okay? And we will see you straight after wee time.
When I was just a little girl, I asked my mother, what will I was just a child in school. I asked my teacher, what should I try? Should I paint pictures? Should I sing songs? This was her wise reply. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera. When I grew up and fell in love, I asked my sweetheart what lies ahead. Will there be rainbows day after day? Here's what my sweetheart said. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. What will be, will be. Que sera, sera.
Wow, that was long.
Oh, that song finished a bit quick, actually. I'm glad I had my microphone switched off. That could have been embarrassing. So, hey, welcome back.
Oh, gosh.
That was your idea. That was Xtina. How did you? Oh, there we go. Another bottle. Another bottle. Another day.
Oh,
That was
gosh.
fun. What a great night. Always nice to hear from people from down under, mate. There you go. Crikey, it's in my strides. There you go. So,
Stick to
What?
writing, James. Stick to writing.
what are you doing? How dare you? How dare you?
Oh, gosh.
What?
Nothing.
So, hey,
I didn't say anything.
Have we got a guest coming? Have we got a guest coming? Yes, we have got a guest coming. Jason
We do.
McIntyre, Kindle's #1 suspense author, which is no mean feat. You see how many people are out on Kindle these days. That's great. So I'm looking forward to speaking to him. And if I can, again, AT&T willing, if it doesn't work, it's not my fault. Hopefully, Jason is with us now. Are you there, sir?
Uh-oh.
Hello. It is AT&T. So now he's bad mouth as once too often.
Oh, I hear
Jason,
him.
how are you? All the way from sunny Canada. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fine. Thank you so much for having me on the program this evening.
No,
Thank
hey,
you.
thank you for joining us. Thank you. It's good to. I see it's a bit of an international theme tonight. People from all four corners of the planet, which is pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Pretty cool.
Is anyone from Sudan going to be on next or something? I feel like we need some, some maybe non-English speaking flavor.
Funny you should ask Jason, but no.
Okay.
No.
But no.
No, I don't think they have many radios over there. I don't know.
Now I'm going to search. Okay, now I'm going to search
I don't
Facebook.
know.
I
Of course
might
they
be able
have.
to find somebody.
I bet you probably could actually, a Sudanese writer. So, Zed, which is freshly released, October 27th. Tell us a bit more about it, Jason.
Zed is an interesting book in that it's part of a series, but it's not really a series. So let me explain what I mean by that.
Please.
I never really set out to write a series. I had no interest in doing that. But what happened was I wrote a book about 18 years ago, and I kind of put it on the back shelf. And another book called On the Gathering Storm came out, and it was relatively successful for the time. It was actually a top 20 Goodreads new author book. And so it did kind of well, and the advice that I was hearing was put out more books really, really fast. So what I did is I kind of went back, and I looked at this book called Shed that I had written and not released. And I said, you know what, this is pretty good. I'm gonna buff this up and put this out. And it actually became one of the most positively reviewed books that I've put out to date. I mean, you go to Barnes & Noble, you go to iTunes, iBookstore, you go to Amazon, and it's got positive reviews. Whereas some of my other work, some people love it and some people don't love it as much. Whereas Shed kept getting really consistently good reviews. So I kept thinking about it. I kept thinking about it more and more, and I had reviewers and readers tell me, you know what, we need to see some more of these characters. So I started thinking about how that could work. And a series sort of came out of it. It's not really a series, and I'll explain what I mean by that. It's what I call a mosaic book. There's 10 titles. 4 of them have now been released, with Zed as the most recent. They take place independently, so they each have a beginning, a middle, and an end. They have their own main characters. They can be read in any order. However, at this point, because I've been forced by the readership to start releasing them in order, I'm going to start releasing them in order. So Zed takes place in 1975. The next book, which I'm releasing in a few weeks, takes place in 1971. Each book takes place in its own year during the decade of the 70s. So it's also kind of a period piece for me as well. So there's a bit of a challenge there. Zed is about a young man named Tom. He's an American, so I had to stretch a little bit. I'm a Canadian. And he goes to an island where everything strange is happening on this island, and the town is called Dovetail Cove, and that's the name of the quasi-series, and this is the place where everything happens for all of these 10 books. And Tom's about 19, and he's working at a group home where everybody's mentally challenged, and his boss is Karen Bannatyne, and she is not very nice, and she's very rich. She's the wealthiest person on the island, and she's not nice to work for. And her husband has gone missing. And so Tom's trying to deal with that, as well as do his very, very best to look after these mentally disabled folks in the group home. And some crazy things happen from there.
Interesting. What was your inspiration for that?
Honestly, this particular book, I went to my wife and I, we celebrate our anniversary every July. And each year, since we've been married, we go to a hot spring near our home. And I was sitting in the hot spring one July, just floating in these salty, warm waters, just really enjoying myself and not thinking about writing, which is very rare for me. And a busload of mentally challenged adults with their caretakers arrived at this hot spring. And the idea for Zed came to me in those And I went home after that trip, and I started writing the whole thing. And it took me not very long. It took me a couple of weeks to write the entire book.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm always really interested to know what inspires people and what the motivation is, because sometimes it can be something so simple. I think it was just 2 weeks ago we had a guest on the show, and she was inspired by just a small thing that she had saw on what show was that, James? Oh my goodness, I can't think of what show
it was 2 weeks ago. I can't remember.
It was Seinfeld.
That's right. Yes, I remember her. Yes,
yeah.
Well,
So
I think
that's
it's part of that. I think that's the sort of the writer's brain. You know, you can just take just one tiny little thing just to trigger off a whole train of, obviously, as with this one. You know, but although I must admit, I think when you said a bunch of and I'm going to get hate mail for this, a bunch of mentally challenged people in a hot spring spa, my brain just went completely somewhere else, I'm afraid. But, you know, it would have been, I'd have probably written comedy with that. But I guess
it's ripe for comedy, Jim. I mean, that's my brain. I don't want to guess what you thought, but my brain probably went to a similar place. Like it just, in that moment, it seemed like a ridiculous setup, right? Mm-hmm. And so, you know, it was a really strange way to jump from that kind of ridiculous setup to where it ended up. So I think if readers read it, having heard what I just said, I think they might be surprised at where it goes from there, because it's a coming-of-age story for Tom, but it's also a really weird horror story. And a lot of the instigation comes out of this hot spring, because it does something to these people that go in this hot spring.
Ah. Gotcha.
That does sound interesting. Now, who do you like to read? What is your, I mean, do you normally read horrors? It's funny because, I love to be scared. I love horror movies. I love horror books, but I read everything. Like I read a little bit of everything.
Yeah. It's interesting because people are always asking me, they're not asking me, they're telling me. People just stop me on the street and grab me and pull me up really close and say, you must read a lot of horror. And I really don't. It's interesting. I don't really like horror movies. I like the really, really good classic horror movies like The Exorcist or something like that. A recent one I saw was The Babadook. I don't know if you've heard of that one, but I quite liked that one.
I did, yeah.
I saw that.
Yeah. Did you enjoy it? You enjoyed that one?
I really did. That's kind of why it sticks out in my head. But most horror books and most horror movies don't really do it for me. I don't really like the kind of the surface thrills and the blood and that doesn't really do it for me. I'm more interested in a psychological kind of thing. Some of the stuff I'm reading right now is a lot of indie stuff. I'm really into J. Alexander Greenwood is writing some great suspense fiction. Eden Bailey, she writes great drama and mystery and erotica thrillers. So friends like that are writing some really good indie fiction. But yeah, I don't even really think of myself as a horror writer, to be honest. And it's interesting. One of the reviewers for Zed, she gave it kind of a middling review. And one of her complaints was this was billed as a horror book, and it really isn't. It's one of the great things about this Dovetail Cove series that's not really a series is that every book is kind of like a playground for me, and I'm kind of looking at different genres for each book. So Zed is really kind of it's a coming-of-age drama with horror and thriller elements in it, if that makes any sense. And another example is the new book that's going to come out in December is, I'm not going to spoil the title yet because that's kind of a gimmick that I have going on. They all rhyme, which is kind of this funny gimmick that I invented, which is becoming limiting, but whatever, it's all good. So the book that comes out is the first book, the actual first book chronologically. It'll be the fifth book that's been released, but it's more of a fairy tale. And, of course, it'll have horrific elements, and it'll have some suspense and drama, and it'll tie in with the background characters and the other things that are going on in Dovetail Cove. But at its core, it's a fairy tale. 1972's book is called Bled, and it's a psychological thriller. 1973, for example, is a crime noir book.
Awesome.
Last year I released a book called Dread, which takes place in 1978 on the island. And it's a reverse murder mystery kind of a thing. So they're all kind of like a different playground for me to try out different genres and different fields and styles and that kind of thing. So it's been a ton of fun. It's been a ton of hard work, of course, but lots of good fun.
Definitely sounds like it. I'm anxious to hear more about Zed. Do you have a reading for us?
I do. I'd love to read something.
Yay! This is my favorite part.
So this piece, I think if you recall, Tom is our main character. Another main character is Zeke, and he's a 60-something house guest, they call them, who stays at the Ocean View Manor, where Tom works with Karen and Karen's missing husband. We haven't seen Karen's husband. And so Zeke has visited this hot spring, and it's changed him. And he's starting to get more mentally focused, and he's starting to remember things. And so Tom asks him, what do you know about Karen's husband? And so here's Zeke.
Okay.
I've seen her, Tom. I remember it as plain as day, even though it was the middle of the night. She made me take my truck. I just washed my truck, and I had to take it to Nurse Karen and Mr. Chris's house. They live in a big house on the avenue, bigger than Ocean View, you know? They's only about 2 minutes drive from here. She had the neatest old bed, and she asked me to move the old bed. I needed to take the old bed from Nurse Karen and Mr. Chris's basement up the stairs and put it in the back of my truck. I was awful careful, Tom. I didn't want to scratch my truck. I love my truck. I did what she wanted, but she yelled. It was hard to do. It was dark out. Nighttime makes it dark out. And Nurse Karen said we had to be more quiet. I couldn't be more quiet. It was heavy, and I lifted it all myself. I had to get the bed into the truck without using lights neither. It was weird, Tom. She gave me 3 of those submarine vitamins. She said I needed all my muscles, and the vitamins would help give me muscles, just like Popeye the Sailor Man. Only that wasn't quite right, because Popeye the Sailor Man, he gets his super big muscles when he eats a can of that yuck spinach. I tried eating that awful spinach one time when I was a boy, and I made a pukey mess. I didn't get no big super muscles, and I didn't get them that night with Nurse Karen either. After I had them extra vitamins, I just got sleepy. But I did what Nurse Karen asked me to do. I didn't fuss, and I didn't backtalk, even though she was yelling and worried. My daddy always said I had a problem with backtalk, but I've learned that if I'm not sure if I have backtalk coming, I should just keep quiet and not say anything to anyone. I drove the bed in the back of my truck up north of town to those new places. You know them places? These new bungalows north of the bridge. They was going to build 100 new places, all the same for all the workers at the mine. Oh, about 15 years back. But the workers never came, and the mine went into, what do they call it? A shutdown. So Karen and Mr. Chris, I think they must own one of those houses, because we went right up to one, just like the house on the avenue. This one was all dark, no lights on, and it was hard to find the lane and not hit the trees and the big rocks. We had flashers, you know, torches with batteries in them. I hurt my back getting the big old bed into the house, and I did scratch my truck. It made me mad. She yelled at me more. We put the big bed into the empty room at the back. All the rooms were empty except in the living room. There was some of them big steel filing cabinets, but there wasn't even a table or chairs in the kitchen. No couch and no TV anywhere, neither. So then we and Nurse Karen, we got back in my truck, and we drove in the dark again all the way back home. Her home, I mean, on the avenue. And she told me to wait. I waited for an awful long time. I was getting sleepy, but I kept myself awake. Nurse Karen told me to wait, and I did. When she came out, she was all wet and stinky. I think she was sweaty. I think she was real worried about something. She told me to hurry and come back with her inside. I gave myself some slaps right in the face, Tom, real hard. I mean, real hard. I wasn't sure if I was awake or sleeping, but I was pretty sure I was awake. I saw a big lion in the trees. He was talking to me and telling me to go to sleep right there on the grass. But I didn't. I promised Nurse Karen I'd help, and I would. I always keep my promises. Daddy taught me that's what a man does. Right, Tom? So I said goodbye to the lion in the trees, and I said, see you later to the lion in the trees, and I went with Nurse Karen back into her big house on the avenue. We went back down the stairs, long, deep, dark ones that open out into the yard, Tom. Not like here at Ocean View where them stairs, they come up to the kitchen and the screen door. These stairs, they come out a big box in the ground. And Nurse Karen, she kept saying, shh, and quiet down. And she called me a big, what's the word? A galoot. Yeah, a big galoot. Yeah, that's what she called me. I remember really good now, Tom. I will tell you about my remembering soon. My words are getting better, and I can put them together better, but I still talk like I did before. I can put things in order and remember things to come back to later. I will remember this and tell you about it when I finish the part about what I saw down those deep, dark steps. On the cold, dirt floor was a big rolled-up blanket, and one little bulb shone dim down there. Nurse Karen hurried over to the big rolled-up blanket. It was pink on the inside and so fluffy and downy, but it was dirty. On the outside, it showed wheatgrass and a little white flower pattern that repeated and repeated. I remember it so good now, even though I couldn't before the spring water made me better.
Playing album pleasure.
She said, hurry, pick it up, be a good boy now, and take this to the truck, Zeke. Be quick about it and don't you fall. And she knelt down in the dirt with a jangle of keys. She used one of them keys to unlock a length of thick silver chain. It sparkled, kind of like in the one dim bulb, and it looked kind of nice. They went to the big wood beams and looked up there, like Nurse Karen didn't want no one to steal her old blanket. Nurse Karen, she grunted to get up and down to her knees 3 more times. She undid 3 more locks, 4 locks, all told, Tom. My counting is so good now. Last night I counted to 1,000,000. I didn't know I could count so high or think about numbers for so long. She wiped her hands on her white uniform and made the white go dirty and brown. She used her hem and pulled it up to wipe her forehead. We've had such an awful hot summer, huh, Tom? So I picked up the blanket and, I nearly dropped it. I nearly did what Nurse Karen told me for sure not to do. But it was heavier than I ever thought it could be, and I doubled under it, and I got myself back upright, and I headed for those stairs. Even if Nurse Karen yelled at me 100 more times, no, 1,000,000, I would not let her down. A man is as good as his promises, my daddy said. My knees almost buckled on the little dark stairs, but the lion was up at the top, and he said I could do it. And when I did what Nurse Karen wanted, I could have a super big sleep. The lion in the trees, he told me I'd never have to remember the dark night with the neato bed. He told me I'd never have to remember the lion in the trees neither, not if I didn't want to. So I got myself and the big dirty blanket to the stairs. My heart hurt me, Tom. It was pounding harder than it ever pounded. Well, except maybe that one time with Daddy and the axe. But I'll tell you about that, too. Don't worry. I don't forget things like I used to, not anymore. I didn't stop, and I didn't take any breather breaks. I got my second wind, they say. I got that big dirty blanket with the pink backing and heaved it right there into the truck. But a man's hand flopped out, his hand in his cuff and all the way to an elbow. I think it was Mr. Chris's hand, because I remember his wedding ring. Him and Nurse Karen, they haven't been married forever, but they've been married a lot of years, and Mr. Chris, he always wore that wedding ring she gave him on their wedding day. He also wore that brute aftershave, and I could smell a whiff of that, too. Same as when he comes to visit us all at Ocean. I looked at Nurse Karen. She followed behind me to the truck, and I must have looked like a ghost got me, because she said, "Don't worry, it's Mr. Chris. He's sleeping. I gave him the nighttime vitamins, too, just like you. they don't make you strong when it's time to sleep. You're going to sleep soon. But Mr. Chris, he's going to sleep now. He's been super sick, Zeke, she said. And I'm going to tell him to rest at the little house north of the creek. He's going to get better, but he's catchy now. And I don't want anyone else in town to get sick, see? I didn't see. Not then. I do now, Tom, but I didn't on the night of the lion in the trees and the long, deep stairs down to the dirt.
Oh, wow.
Awesome.
Are you done? Yeah.
Awesome. Sorry, I was beautifully read, sir. Absolutely fantastic. We were there.
Yeah,
Great. I just sort of picturing the character. That was very nicely written as well. I enjoyed the writing. It was good.
Thank you.
Good. You should consider being Xtina. Go and have a drink. You should consider being a narrator, or have you done sort of spoken books, that sort of thing?
I did one of my own. I did a short novella called The Nightwalk Men, and I did an audio recording of it. And
awesome. You've got just the right voice for that. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, thanks. Yeah, it's a lot of fun to do. I've never done any theater or anything like that, but I really like to read, and I really like to do the vocal stretching or whatever you want to call it. I enjoy that.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, that I really enjoyed just the way that you read it, and you just really got into that character.
Well, thanks, you guys.
I really I really enjoyed that. So I think that you should make that into an audiobook, and you need to read it though. So it wouldn't be the same.
I will take that under.
No one else could read it. No, you would have to do that.
Right.
It sounds like a great character, sort of character you could do a heck of a lot with and have a lot of fun with. Yeah.
Yeah, he's such a great character, and now, I'm so lucky that I've been able to write 10 titles now with Dovetail Cove, and Zeke he's a main character in this one, and he's a supporting character in the second book, and he's also in 2 more books after these ones, so I've had a chance to really enrich him and fill him out, so it's so much fun.
This night has actually gone by so fast. We really we need to have you back, Jason. Will you come back and see us?
I'd love to. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you for joining us, Jason. It's been a pleasure. Again, I say we're going to have longer shows in the new year, so we can squeeze more in.
Okay, that sounds great. I'd love to. Yeah, thanks so much for having me, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Okay, and we'll speak to you in the new year.
Great, thank you. And if anybody wants to visit me, I'm on Twitter at Jason McIntyre. I'm also at www.thefarthestreaches.com. So thanks a lot, you guys. Appreciate it.
Sorry, well remembered. We almost forgot to. What was your website again? Thefarthestreaches.com.
It's www.thefarthestreaches.com.
Awesome. Thank you very much indeed, and we will speak to you in the new year.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye. Right, it's time to say goodbye, so we're going to play the final song, and we will hear our listener next Thursday. Say goodnight, Xtina.
Good night, Xtina.
You can dance, ever dance with the guy who gives you the eye, let him hold you tight. You can smile, ever smile at the man who holds your hand in the pale moonlight. But don't forget who's taking you home and in his arms you're gonna be. Oh, darling, save that last dance for me. Oh, I know that the music's fine like sparkling wine. Go and have your fun. Laugh and sing, but while we're apart, don't give your heart to anyone. And don't forget who's taking you home and in his arms you're gonna be. Oh, darling, save that last dance for me. Baby, don't you know I love you so? Can't you feel it when we touch? I will never ever let you go. Oh, I love you oh so much. Oh, you can dance, go and carry on till the night is gone and it's time to go. If you're all alone, can he take you home? You must tell him so. 'Cause don't forget who's taking you home, and in his arms you're gonna be. So darling, save that last dance for me. Oh darling, save that last dance for me. Darling, save that last dance for me.
When you don't go to Geico.com, car insurance can be confusing. Like Swedish techno confusing.
Bark, bark, meow, meow. Dance with me, purple cow. Bark, bark, meow, meow. Ooh, you lovely cow.
Geico makes it easy. With 24/7 access, all you have to do is go to Geico.com and you could save money on car insurance. It just makes sense. Unlike, you know.
Dance with me, purple cow. I like your moves.
Hey Nashville, this holiday season, give yourself the gift of unlimited with Sprint's Unlimited Freedom Plan. Enjoy unlimited mobile optimized streaming videos, gaming, music, and data starting at $32.50 per month per line for a family of 4 when you bring your number to Sprint. You'll never have to worry about running out of data or surprise coverage charges again. Live unlimited. Dash to a Sprint store, sprint.com/freedom, or call 1-800-SPRINT1 today. Fourth line free until 1/31/18. After that, pay $40 line per month for 4 lines. Coverage and offer not everywhere or for discounted phones. Prices with auto pay discount. Subject to credit and $30 activation fee. Excludes taxes, surcharges, roaming, and premium content. Streaming may be mobile optimized with video up to 480p and music up to 500 kbps. Games limited to up to 2 Mbps. Prohibited network use rules apply. And data deprioritization during congestion. Restrictions apply.